everybody, and welcome back to JRPG Club, this wonderful club where my friends and I play a bunch of different JRPGs as if it's a book club, and we come and discuss everything that we've played up to a certain stopping point every end of the month. We usually record these the last Sunday of every month, and this is the last Sunday of the first month of us playing through, drumroll, thank you, Final Fantasy XII. So if you hadn't noticed, yes, you've seen maybe a couple of us at HPCritical tweeting out about playing Final Fantasy XII. The reason we've been playing Final Fantasy XII is because we have started a brand new game for JRPG Club, and that is Final Fantasy XII. We were playing Final Fantasy X too, but everybody hated it. So, well, not everybody. I shouldn't say everybody, but a lot of people hated it and didn't finish it. So we gave up on it. And we're moving forward with Final Fantasy XII. Also, for anyone who's listening, because I know this is a pretty popular part of the podcast, this will be the last Final Fantasy that JRPG Club is playing for quite some time, because some of the members are sick of playing Final Fantasy games, even though we've only played 2. Some of the members are sick of playing Final Fantasy games, so this will be the last one. But this is a great, wonderful welcome to everyone who's come back to listen to JRPG Club, as we're going to be going through Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, which... Does anybody know when that came out?
Man, I want to say it came out.
Top of my head.
Shoot, I want to say it came out originally on PS4. Like,
I think the original came out.
Oh, the original. Oh yeah, the original was like 2006 sounds about right. Zodiac Age. I'm not as solid on.
2006.
Nice.
Wait, hello.
Hi.
Yeah, hello.
Sorry, yeah, my headphones went out. I didn't hear anything you said. What happened?
It did come out in 2006.
The original came out in 2006?
Yeah.
Look at me being prepared, doing my research. But I don't know when the Zodiac Age came out, so I will.
It came out in 2017. I just looked it up.
Look at that, 2017. What year is this? 2021?
Yeah. So this came out 4 years ago. Well, the original version of it, Zodiac Age, has been ported to a few of the systems since.
So what's 2021 minus 2006? How many years is that? Someone who's good at math.
That's 15.
A lot of years.
A lot of years. I agree.
So we are playing about a 15-year-old game that was revamped about 4 years ago, if my math is correct. I don't know. Who cares? Because we're not here to talk math. We're here to talk Final Fantasy. And listeners can do the math on their own. So first of all, let's talk about who is here with me. So this is not everyone in the JRPG Club. This is just everyone who could make it today. And I haven't introduced myself. I am the wonderful host, Jarrell, and I am joined by, and you guys can introduce yourselves or say hello if you'd like. I am joined by, in order of the people I see on the call, Stephanie.
Hello.
Who was also with us through Final Fantasy X until she quit. Very close to
and
the
I'm
end.
one of the people that does not want to keep playing Final Fantasy. So yes, I'm calling myself out. Yes, I truly am.
And then we also have Annie here with us from HPCritical as well.
Oh.
And Brandon, whose voice I'm sure you're familiar with.
Yo.
And Marissa, whose voice I'm sure you all miss.
Hi.
And the humble Evo champ, Job himself.
Hello.
So we're going to be talking Final Fantasy XII, everything Final Fantasy XII, from the beginning of the game up until the Fire Main boss, which was our first stopping point. And then at the end of this, we're going to discuss the next stopping point. We're going to continue on until we finish Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age, in its entirety. So please stick around. Thank you for listening. Make sure you rate and review this podcast, especially if you love hearing us talk about how much we love, hate, or have our first experiences with Final Fantasy XII, the Zodiac Age. So first, let's begin with me asking you guys, how many of you are actually familiar with this game? How many of you have actually played it before, whether it's been a little bit, whether it's been a lot, or how many of you are coming into it brand new?
Well, for me, I guess I'll go first. So I did actually own the PS2 version of Final Fantasy XII, but I played to the tutorial and maybe the first hunt, and that was about it. So I really had no familiarity with this game, to be perfectly frank, and I had forgotten pretty much every story beat that I did see. So this is essentially pretty new for me. The Zodiac Age might as well be my first time getting experience with 12. I've really not experienced this story at all.
I mean, for me, I played through a little bit of 12 and I have absolutely no idea what was going on. And I'm sure we'll discuss it when we talk about the beginning of the game, because in the beginning of the game, so much happens. And, you know, when did this come out? 2006?
Yeah.
I was still a child. Who knows what they were talking about, but I didn't. So I didn't, and I also didn't get very far. I don't even remember where I dropped off. So I don't even know how this game ends. So it's going to be a new experience for me.
Oh, may I share a really quick story that I just remembered now that you said that? So yeah, because this did come out in 2006, this was around the time that I was like starting high school. And I think one of the reasons why I didn't like jump on this game like immediately was because in one of my classes, there was this one guy who would not shut up about Final Fantasy XII. Normally someone praising would be like, oh, I gotta check this game out. But the thing is, this man would not shut up about the game. like, yo, Brandon, have you played Final Fantasy XII? It's so good. I'm like, oh, okay, I'll check it out. Then the next day, bro, have you played Final Fantasy XII? Bro, I haven't been to a store. And the next day, have you got it yet? And it was like literally every day for maybe 2 weeks, and I was like, I don't want to play this now.
Oh no!
Oh
my God, tragic.
It was only like a little bit like when I was finishing high school that I found it at like the cheap game store, which I ultimately bought it. But again, I didn't get very far in that attempt.
Man, I'm really disappointed in myself for not finishing it because I sold my GameCube to GameStop to buy Final Fantasy XII. Which is why I now don't have a GameCube. Yeah, because I had played Final Fantasy X and it was my first Final Fantasy and I loved it so much because I was like, oh my God, the drama, the K-drama, oh my God, Titus, oh my God, Yuna. And so I sold my I sold my GameCube to GameStop to purchase Final Fantasy XII because my mom was like, I ain't buying that shit. I just bought the other one. And I was like, okay, mom, whatever. So I ended up getting it and never fucking finishing it because of my life. So I'm very disappointed in myself for selling my GameCube for a game I never finished. So this is my chance to redeem myself. And that's my little story tangent.
Aren't GameCubes like really expensive though? Like right now? Aren't they like a couple hundred for a GameCube?
There was a period where they were selling them for like $50. Like 50, 60 bucks at like GameStop. I missed that period and I still don't have a
GameCube. Oh no.
Yeah, so to this day I don't have a GameCube because of Final Fantasy XII. Trash. This game better be good. It was not
You're
worth
like, actually just changed my whole opinion about the game. I actually hate it now.
The whole game is trash. It was not worth selling my GameCube, let me tell y'all. I had Pokemon Coliseum on there. I had Mario Kart Double Dash on there. I had a bunch of games that are just whatever. I'm a weird tangent. Marissa, what's your experience with Final Fantasy XII?
I have never played it. And I was actually really reluctant to play another Final Fantasy game. But then first I had heard from Jarrell some of the reasons why I should play it. And then I heard from David, who's also in our JRPG club, why I should play it. And so ultimately I was kind of like, all right, I guess. And so I broke down and was like, yeah, it sounds like it'll be a game that's kind of like up my alley. And then something that I would be interested in. And if there was going to be a Final Fantasy that I would be interested in, this would probably be the story that would be my jumping in point. So that's why I'm here. I know nothing about it other than Fran's a hottie. And so that's why I'm here.
Yes, Fran.
I'm here for Fran's superiority. And that's my experience with Final Fantasy XII.
You know, it's so funny. The more I hear you guys talk, I just think, wow, they should have just played the 7 remake. It would have been so much better. Too bad. Here we are. Annie, what about you?
I haven't really played any JRPGs like at all. I've played a handful, but like Pokemon and like Monster Hunter. That's about it. So I don't really like JRPGs that much. That's why I'm here. I want to like get into them a little bit more, but I'm not there yet.
I guess the best person to go next would also be Steph, because you guys have a pretty similar experience. What about you, Steph?
Well, I'm kind of with Marissa on feeling reluctant on playing Final Fantasy again because I had a horrible experience with the last few times that we played it, to be honest. So I don't know. I guess it's my first time playing this Final Fantasy, but not my first time playing the whole, I guess, franchise. I don't know. I guess it's good right now. It's good for now. We will see
Okay.
as it progresses,
Okay.
but it's good for now. It's good for now.
And finally, Job.
I think I'm the only veteran this time, right?
I believe so. You probably
Everyone said first timesies. I beat the original like 99%. I didn't do the very last time because I saw my brother do it, and it took him hours of like looping himself into like healing.
Oh my god, don't say those things in front of the people who have not gotten that far yet.
Oh my god, this sounds trash. I'm done. You're out.
No.
Bye.
Okay, but it sounds like that's
Let me
optional.
quit now.
So
No, yeah, that's like post end game stuff, whatever,
Okay,
like
see,
optional
everything's
stuff,
fine.
whatever. I'm not trying to spoil anymore, but I have played the original to its almost full extent, and I did enjoy it. I also don't understand why this game gets a lot of hate, or like the
Yeah.
hate that it does. But anyways, I've never played Zodiac Age, so I actually am very interested in what's about to happen.
Yeah, so just a quick tangent. For anyone who doesn't know, Final Fantasy XII is very infamous because either people love it a lot or people talk mad shit about it. And there was a very long period where people said it was the worst Final Fantasy of the series. And then it got re-released in the Zodiac Age, and then everyone kind of changed their minds and was like, holy shit, this is the best Final Fantasy in the series. So it's in a very weird place. I think that just in 2006, it was a little ahead of its time, and I think now in 2021, since we're playing it, it kind of is reaching a point where more people are accepting and understanding of it. But before I talk more about that, let's talk about the freaking story, because it is a damn doozy. So I'm just going to go through everything that's happened, and then feel free to interject if there's something really specific that you want to talk about, because there's a lot that happens in just the first cutscene of this game. So let's go ahead and get started. We begin in the kingdom of Dalmasca, in the royal city of Rabanastre, in the year of 704. And the first thing that we see is a wedding procession commence as the city is huge and bustling with life. And then it cuts straight to a war, because, like, of course, there's a war going on in the year 704. And it is the kingdom of Arcadia launching an attack. And we're informed that the kingdom of Nabudis has already fallen, and the man who was just getting married, because we also see this wedding procession, he asks the status of his father, who is apparently from Nabudis. That already sounds really confusing, I'm sure. Did that make sense to you guys before I continue on?
It does. It was a very confusing opening sequence. So I feel like you're summarizing it well, but it was a very confusing sequence because it throws a lot at you right out the get-go.
Hearing it recap now makes it a lot clearer. I remember it being quite overwhelming the first time I was seeing all this, like what, who, where, when, what.
Yeah, because it's like, here's a country, and there's a country, and here's a dude, and then, oh my god, that dude, and then here's a bro that you're supposed to care about, and then here's a bro getting married to this chick, and then here's another country, and you're like, what?
And then they're fighting against each other too. It made me feel dumb that I wasn't really comprehending.
Same, I'm so glad that I'm not the only one who was like looking at this like, am I supposed to remember all these places? Like,
yeah, so
I'm not.
All of your defenses, Job can attest to this. I rewatched the cutscene like 3 or 4 times just to be able to summarize what the flip is happening, because I was literally like, what? I don't know, because there's a ton of stuff that's thrown at you. So we're all in the same place there. So I'm going to do my best to continue to summarize this. So yeah, there's the kingdom of Nabudis, which has already fallen. And the man who we just saw get married, he has the status of his father, who is from Nabudis. He's informed that they don't know what's happened to his father, but it's only a matter of time before the people who attack Nabudis would reach Dalmasca. And Dalmasca is the city that we're currently in. And so this prince leaves with another man to head up an army to defend Dalmasca. So then we see the Dalmasca-Nabradia border, and the Nalbina fortress, which is a part of Nabradia, I believe, is now under siege by the Empire. And we see a bunch of airships everywhere. It's kind of like, I liken it to Star Wars a little bit. There's a bunch of airships, there's a bunch of ground battle fighting, there's a bunch of people literally dying left and right in this huge war where the Empire is fighting against Dalmasca. And of course, this prince who we just saw get married, he's riding a chocobo, and he goes into battle, and there is this like, while they're fighting, he's kind of like, his friend is kind of like, all right, we should probably retreat. I don't feel like we're winning this. Things are not looking pretty good. And he's like, no, our magic people, they have this magic shield up. The paling, it's still there. Everything's fine. And of course, as soon as he says that, the Empire just runs up and they stab all the magic people because, of course, Damaska doesn't have anybody protecting the magic people who are holding the shield up. I don't know why. A lot of things.
You gotta protect your white mages.
Everyone just like immediately yells jinx, and then
just
the magic field falls.
Like, I don't know why. Literally, when I was watching this, I was like, y'all made some very bad decisions in deciding to
no
fight
wonder
the
your
Empire.
country's falling,
Like
sir.
this,
Like...
exactly. Anyway, so the magical paling is destroyed, and then they're like, oh shit, things are really bad, maybe we should retreat. But then the prince is like, no, for Nabudes, for my father. And he just gets an arrow to the neck, like in that moment, and I'm like, oh shit, he is dead. And so he dies, because that's what happens when you get an arrow to the neck. Another thing that bothered me about this, and I just want to ask you guys, like, how you feel about the story. Another thing that bothered me about this, not only was I annoyed that they just let all their mages just die because no one was protecting them, but the armor that the Dalmaskins are wearing is literally nothing. Like, their midriff is exposed, their necks are exposed, their whole bodies are literally exposed. I was like, how are all of you just not instantly dying? It was the most annoying thing, and that's why I hate Dalmaska. And because
That
like,
one
who
reason.
does this? Who goes into battle with armor that only protects your fucking shoulders? Like, all of their body was exposed. Their back is open, their stomachs are open, they have on like fucking shorts. Like, what are y'all doing? What is going on? Anyway, enough of me.
They know that their key thing is they just have to intimidate the other.
But they
army.
weren't intimidating anyone, though. Like, they didn't even do that. Yeah. So anyway, the guy dies, the prince dies, and then it cuts back to the princess who he was marrying, who is now in mourning because of the death of Lord Rassler, which was her husband. Right? That was her husband, right? Holy shit. I hope I got this right.
Yeah, I think they were
Okay.
married for like a day. I think it was literally the
Legit.
same day. It was the same day.
It felt like that.
Like, shit.
Can you imagine like the happiest and saddest day of your life in the same day? Like,
really
Horrible
honest to God.
backstory.
like,
So sad.
damn. But seeing as all of that happened, we got a wedding, a funeral, and an army invasion. How did you guys feel about that part of the story so far, having all of that as backstory? Is that intriguing to you? Does it set things up for you? Is it something that you find interesting, or was it just too much?
It's interesting. It's a lot, but in retrospect, now that I'm kind of like hearing it retold, it's interesting that it works kind of like an active backstory, because a lot of other games or just movies or whatever media in general would just tell you all this stuff that's happening, that that happened, there was this wedding, and then there was this war, it happened all in the same day, it was crazy, yo. And then like, but you get to see it. And at the time, it is overwhelming. I'm not going to dispute that, because I was definitely overwhelmed. But hearing it like this, like in this form, it was like, at least we got to see it. I guess I wish they probably would have just done it a little bit better, like paced it just a little. Like, it was really quick. It was a lot, and it was quick, and that was why what made me feel kind of overwhelmed. But it is still interesting.
Actually, thanks, Brandon. I changed my opinion now. I was going to be on the hater camp, but I think I kind of agree with you. I think it's better that we did get to see all of this, because it does, I think, set up for some stuff that's going to happen later on. Even though we may not know it now, it definitely sets up for some stuff that's going to happen later on. And does anyone else want to comment before I continue?
I wanted to say, so one of the things that when I was talking about, both when you and David were kind of talking to me about, hey, I think you might like this story and find it interesting and everything. One of the things that got tossed around as to like, you might find this story interesting, is that it kind of feels like Star Wars. It kind of feels like Game of Thrones. There's a lot of this different stuff going on. Talk about like just kill everyone right off
in the beginning, yeah,
to get your interest. But I think what works for it in comparison to some of the other like RPGs and JRPGs I've tried to play in the past and didn't really get as invested in was if they would have like prepared just like here's an old man reading from a textbook to tell you the history of the war that's gone on to get us to this point, I probably would have been just as lost with how many countries there were, the wars that had been fought, what cities had fallen, and everything like that. So I'm glad that there were still the faces to put to it. I know ish at this point, no, because you know we've met other characters now that we've played a little bit longer. But you know, I got to see what the prince looked like. I got to see what some of his allies looked like, what the princess looked like. Well, technically princess, because they kept calling her lady, so I don't know if she officially got the title of princess or not. But you know, that seeing the action happen, seeing how ferocious the war was, that how overwhelmed the forces were, I think was a lot more impactful than just hearing, you know, again, this kind of narrator that we do have on and off throughout the beginning, just saying it was overwhelming. You know, was still nice. I feel like it's definitely, I almost feel like they tried to tell you 3 different battles or 3 different wars going on at once, as opposed to like, maybe let's just hone in on one thing and focus on it. So it is still not perfect, it is still overwhelming, but I think that it definitely kind of like grabs you right away, because as you're like waiting to kind of start the game, it didn't feel like, oh my god, can we just get to the fucking tutorial? It was kind of like, oh shit, well he's dead now too, I guess. Okay. Like, so I mean, there was still a lot of intrigue to it, even though it was long and a bit confusing, because you're talking about all these countries that you just can't place. You don't have any world knowledge at this point.
Anyone else? No, everybody's good. Okay.
Okay, so I was gonna say, it kind of just felt like you get hired for like a new job, right? And you walk into your boss's office and they just like do a quick line and they're like, all right, kid, listen, we're going under in 30 minutes. This is what you need to know. You're taking the fall, bud. And I'm just like, okay.
Okay. I guess so. All right then.
Here it is. Everything I'll ever need to know.
and like 5 minutes. Everything you'll ever need to know in 5 minutes.
Here's the manual. You don't have time to read it. Go.
Yeah.
Thankfully, it wasn't a very long cutscene, so I wasn't sitting there waiting forever. So it was nice.
I actually really love that cutscene. I talk shit, but I actually really love it because I think they do such a great job at world building in there, because that first scene, like when you see the Viera, which are obviously, you guys know, are like now these bunny women there, like you see
beautiful
them, and I know, beautiful black bunny women, and then you see like the Banga, I think they're called the Banga, which is like this other race of like lizard looking people, and then you see all the Humes in between, and there's so much going on, and it's like, holy shit, like this is a really cool world. And then you're thrown into a wedding, and you've got the Mughals there, like as the like wedding procession goes, and it's like, oh, this is so pretty, like everything's great, and then it's just like, oh wow, everything actually sucks for them. Like this is actually really bad, and then they all die, and then you're at the funeral, and then you continue on. I think it's like a really great cutscene for like a movie. But a pretty convoluted stuff there for a first watch, but when I watched it multiple times, I kind of got it. So I feel like you really do have to pay attention, but nobody has the attention span of that when you first start a video game. Like, holy shit, calm down, it's a lot. Lady Ash sees the prince die. Well, she doesn't see him die. Right after all of this, we go into a voiceover. Since Marissa was just talking about a voiceover, we go directly into a voiceover from the old disembodied voice man who's reading from the chronicles of the past of Dalmasca and what happened. And we get a little more insight into just the world and everything that happens. And we find out what exactly is happening. And there are 2 great empires that are struggling for dominion over Ivalice. And Ivalice, if I'm not mistaken, is the like country that they're all living on.
It's like the greater world of 12, if I'm not mistaken.
It's not. Is it the name of the whole world? I thought it was just the area.
No, yeah, the world is called Ivalice.
Okay, well, they're fighting for the whole fucking world then.
Oof.
Wow. Serious battles. So there are two great empires struggling for dominion over Ivalice. There is Rosario, which is in the west, and Arcadia, which is in the east. Arcadia in the east is headed west, and they're invading Nabradia, which we already know is where the prince is from, and they are successful in that invasion. And as they continue to move west, their next step is Dalmasca. So they destroyed Rossler. Rossler is the prince. I'm sorry, I think he's the prince. Yes, they destroyed his homeland of Nabradia, and it was very clear that they would do the same thing to Dalmasca, and that's what we see in the beginning. Make sense so far?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So Dalmasca attempted to stop the empire, but of course their efforts were in vain, as we watched, because they all fucking died.
Yeah.
And what they did, which we didn't see in the cutscene, is they sent a special force in known as the Order of Dalmasca to help. Unfortunately, this did not work. And after this, Arcadia came forward offering, Arcadia, which is the empire, came forward offering terms of peace to Dalmasca. Though those terms were pretty much considered to be Dalmasca's surrender, because everybody knows that this peace treaty wasn't really a peace treaty. It was kind of just like, yeah, we're going to take over, we run everything, just sign this paper to make it, you know, simple and legal and easy.
Yeah.
So Lord Ramanas, which is the king of Dalmasca, the old guy that we saw in the beginning, he had no choice but to accept the terms because, as we mentioned, Dalmasca sucks and they all lost. He went to the Nabradian fortress, now under Arcadian rule, because Arcadia has already taken control. And he went to this fortress to place his official seal on the Empire's treaty to sign over Dalmasca. That is where we as players are beginning. We are the last remnants of the Order of Dalmasca, and we are going to infiltrate this fortress that is now under Arcadian control because we assume that something bad is going to happen to the king once this peace treaty is signed. Basically, they're like, yo, once he signs this peace treaty, we're 100% sure they're going to kill him. So we need to get in and get there and save the king before the peace treaty is signed, before they don't need him anymore. And that is where we take over the body of 17-year-old Rex. He's just a little noob who's never been in a fight before. He's never held a sword. He's just a little noob, you know? Never held a sword. 17-year-old kid who is now a part of the Dalmasca special forces that are going to try to go in and save the king of Dalmasca before he dies. And I think that is actually a really great, succinct explanation of where the game begins and what's happened so far. So at this point, the first cutscene is already played out. We've already lost the war, and now the king is about to sign over the treaty. And we begin the game as the 17-year-old Rex who is going in to attempt to save the king. And we meet this guy named Bosch, who is the commander, who is also attempting to take the king to safety. So first of all, we get right after this, we get a lovely little tutorial. We meet Bosch, and I think there's this other guy who's there whose name we don't know yet. I don't think they gave us his name yet, right? If we did, I didn't write it down. Some gray-haired dude, kind of hot. I don't know. Maybe. I'd give him a chance. He goes forward to try to save the king. Bosch talks to us as Rex, and he's like, oh my god, you're just a little baby, like, what are you doing here? And then Rex is like, I want to be here, I want to save my people. And he's like, all right, bro, let's go, I guess, because I don't have anyone else, because everybody else died because our army sucks. So Rex follows Bosch as they rush toward the area to get the king to safety. Once they reach the king, they see that all of the order that went before them to attempt to save the king has been massacred. Like, everyone's been slaughtered on the ground. It looks like people from mostly our side have been slaughtered. Like, there's wrecks everywhere, like blood all over the floor, etc. And of course, the king of Dalmasca is already dead in his chair, and it's like, holy shit, we didn't make it in time. I, for one, wasn't surprised because it seems Dalmasca's always late for everything. So we didn't make it in time. The king is dead. And then as Rex turns around, he gets a knife to the stomach by Bosch because, oh my gosh, the guy is a traitor. And Bosch kills Rex, by the way, this poor 17-year-old kid who he was just helping. He kills him. And he says that the king intended to sell Dalmasca to the Empire all along, and that the king was a traitor, and so the king had to die. And as Bosch is captured, there's some person on the side that we don't see that says they were going to allow Dalmasca to keep their sovereignty, but Bosch has ruined that. And we can all pretty much assume that that shit is not true. They weren't going to allow them to keep shit. So I'm going to stop. Sorry, clearing my throat. So I'm going to stop there. All of that made sense so far. How did you guys feel about that sequence of events of trying to save the king, seeing everyone dead? Anything you want to say about that sequence before I say what I have to say about it?
So I have a question.
Go ahead.
Just a quick question. You said his name was Bosch. I can't remember his name.
Yes,
that was so long ago.
Bosch.
Okay, Bosch. Wasn't he friends with the king or prince or whatever that died in the beginning, or am I just crazy?
He was there. Yes, that was him. He was definitely there in the cutscene. He was definitely there trying to save the king. Yeah.
A save, quote unquote.
Question: how many of you guys played in English voicing?
I am.
Oh, I played in English.
Okay.
There's an option for Japanese.
Yeah. I'm probably the only weeb doing it.
Oops.
No, because I played the original. I played it in English, so I'm just going with Japanese this time to see how it is.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Yeah. So go ahead then. Everyone else. Was there anything you wanted to mention about the story so far?
The first thing with the tutorial, just really quick, because it's not like a huge thing or anything. Oh my God, does it hold your hand right at the beginning? Because it like tells you how to look and move and stuff like that. At first, I was like, I'm gonna have to fight David because what the fuck did he get me into? But then after that, I feel like it does a pretty decent job of like getting you used to what you're gonna be in for in terms of the combat, because it is very different. I figure we'll touch over that more once we're kind of on our own and not in the tutorial. But one of the things I wanted to say too about Bosch is like, not only was he just like, oh my gosh, you're so young and like all this different stuff, like he starts talking to like Rex about his like family and his little brother and all this different stuff and everything, and then stabs him in the stomach. Like, talk about just being ruthless.
The betrayal.
I just remember being like, oh my God, like how cold heart, like I can get if you're like, oh man, I really don't want to kill this young kid and that's making it rough for me or whatever, but then you're over to like, yeah, tell me about your second grade teacher. Oh man, that must have been rough when you got sent to detention and then you still have to stab this boy, like right? Oh my God. I could not believe that.
Like literally right before he's like, oh yeah, I have a younger brother, I think he's like 2 years younger than me, we're all we have nothing else, right? All right, bet. Kills. Dead. Stabbed.
Oh man, that sucks. Now he's gonna have no one. Right? If I'm being real with you.
Damn. Anyone else?
Yeah, so I'll say that as far as the tutorial, I think it does a really good job of like introducing you to what this game is, because like this is pretty different from like other Final Fantasy games. Like, most of them are like either pure turn-based or you got your action turn battle system going on there. This is like, I think you described the draw as like a single player MMO like combat.
I think that was Dylan, but yes, I've also said that too, probably.
Okay, yeah. So it's very different, and I like that you can still do like a wait system, so you have plenty of time to plan your move. It's to me, it feels like after going through the tutorial and like experiencing the combat, it felt like a nice middle ground between turn-based and just straight up action RPG. So I'm glad they took time to like introduce everything, because I think it works, the tutorial, for what it does, like having you play as this character that doesn't last too long. It's kind of low stakes for you to kind of like learn everything, I suppose. As far as the actual story stuff, yeah, man, like that whole thing with Bosch was just like, like when I started the tutorial, I was like, oh, this guy's pretty cool. Like we're bonding and stuff, and like, oh, oh no, not you, not this, not like this.
Like,
It
bruh, he literally went in there, said, fuck the king, fuck everybody, fuck this little boy, like, everybody's a traitor, for Ivalice, fuck y'all, kill everybody. All right, I'm out.
And that's the crazy thing too. It's like, he didn't even ask Rex if to join him. Like, he just assumed that he was gonna not be okay with this and just went for the stabby stab. Now, to be fair, Rex probably would not have gone with it. That's probably fair. Maybe Bosch knew that.
Yeah.
I'm just saying that for him to pour all his soul to Bosch and not even give him a choice and just immediately go for the stab. Like, if Bosch had to fight Rex after he said no, Bosch could have beat him. Like you said, Rex is a wet behind his ears, like a new warrior. He's not going to beat Captain Bosch of the Dalmascan army. Like, he's probably the only competent soldier in that army, based on your description of everything that happened. So it's pretty cold of him.
So I have some things to say about this, but I can't say them. So anyone else? Oh. Well, because I have like speculations of things and I've noticed some things, but I will leave that for a later time. Anybody
My whole thing was like, it was a whiplash of a cutscene, and then it's like, all right, here's a tutorial. You can play a little bit. And I'm like, all right, cool. We're getting into it. Cool character, cool guy. My character's dead. What?
And it's the game of death, apparently. Like, it's just we see a wedding, and then everything after the wedding is just death, sorrow, and destruction.
Yeah.
So anyone else before I move on? Everybody's good? All right, so with this death of Rex and the king, not Rex because Rex is unimportant, with the death of the king, Arcadia resumes their advance towards Rabanastre, with Dalmasca's doom already being decided. The message that is left to the people of Dalmasca is to lay down your arms and pray for your people, pray for the merciful and peaceful king, and of course, pray for Lady Ashe, who was so wrought with grief over the king's death and her husband's death that she too has taken her own life. So holy shit, what is that, like 5 lives in the span of 10 minutes? Mm-hmm. Everyone's just like, the princess has killed herself over grief of her husband who's dead. The king is dead. Her late husband's father is dead. The empire, Arcadia, has completely taken over Dalmasca. Everything is just to shit. Captain Bash von Rosenberg is thereafter found guilty of incitement of sedition and the assassination of His Royal Majesty King Ramanas. He is found guilty of high treason and is to be put to his death. And they warn that anyone who would take up arms as Captain Bash did is just as bad as he is, and they are traitors who would lead Dalmasca to its ruin. So they pretty much see Bash as like the worst type of person. Like, he is a traitor. He doesn't care for Dalmasca. If he really did care for Dalmasca, he would have let the treaty be signed, and he would have seen what Arcadia and the Empire could do for Dalmasca. Instead, he killed everybody. And so Dalmasca's surrender without terms at this point, because the king is dead, then followed. And right after that, we, in the year 706, so 2 years later, we finally take control of Vaughn, who is the younger brother of Rex. And this is 2 years after Arcadia, which is the Empire, has taken over Dalmasca. And we are now in a city that is now being run with guards everywhere. You can see Arcadian Empire guards literally littered throughout the city, basically controlling everything, because now Dalmasca is run by Arcadia. And then poor little Vaughn, who is now, I think, 17 at this point, because he was 15 2 years ago, because his brother was 17 and he was 2 years younger than him, right?
Yeah, you know, little Vaughn, who has no one now. Thanks, Bosch.
Yeah,
just gonna throw that out there.
Poor little Vaughn, who has no one. He's basically like in a group of a bunch of kids who also have no one because their parents died 2 years ago, either during the war or during the invasion, or when Arcadia came through. Whatever happens, a bunch of these kids are now just orphans and bullshit. So yeah, we take control of Vaughn, and I think he's just running around in the city preparing for a ceremony, because the new council is about to have a huge ceremony, and they're going to come in to Dalmasca and I guess create new terms, and just, you know, they're going to show the new like leader who's going to be in charge of Dalmasca at this time. There's a big ceremony coming, and so and there's a great little scene actually that I do want to mention where we see Vaughn, one of the Arcadian guards. He comes up and he steals like some fruit from a fruit stand or some food or something from a stand in the market, and he doesn't pay for it, and this poor guy is like, hey, you need to pay for that, and he's like, what'd you say? And he's gonna beat him up, and then Vaughn just comes and steals all his money, and I'm like, all right, I'm okay with this. Like, good for you. And then Pinello comes and takes half of it because there's Pinello. Anyway, so we meet Pinello, we meet Vaughn, and we meet Pinello. First impressions of Vaughn and Pinello.
Pinello's a simp.
L-O. I mean, she is though. Like, yeah, pretty much.
I mean, I was gonna say that Vaughn is very naive. I don't know like how much we're gonna talk about like what his kind of plans are going from there, or if we're just kind of like focusing more on first impressions once we meet them. But he's got some big plans, and let me tell you, he thinks that you know, you can just kill 3 sewer rats and then take on the world. And I was at first gonna again be like, oh my god, why does this remind me of a certain blonde-haired boy from another Final Fantasy that is just gonna drive me crazy. But I have to say that once like kind of like seeing him interact a little bit more with people and everything like that, I definitely get that his intentions are good, and you know, he wants to do the best that he can. I think that he just doesn't really understand his strength versus, you know, you're kind of in an area with a lot of guards, and even though some of the guards may not be the brightest, or also understanding that, you know, they might be overwhelmed or something like that, like they're still trained and have weapons and armor and all of that
and
stuff.
will kill you and, you know, clearly aren't very sympathetic or anything like that. You literally just saw them, you know, steal something that they clearly could afford, you know, fruit. Like, bro, come on. You know, so I mean, he definitely comes off as being like very naive, but at the same time, I do get that he has like good intentions, good things that he wants to do. It's just that he thinks that he can do it all on his own. Yeah.
You know, yeah, kind of like, honey, let's reevaluate some things. I feel like Pinello is getting a bad rep from some people in this group.
It's me.
I feel like, you know, she's just kind of like almost kind of like motherly in the sense of like, she just doesn't want people to get hurt, and she's trying to do the best that she can. She comes off as being a little bit manipulative at one point. Again, I don't know how far we're going just yet, since we haven't really talked about what their goals are, or, you know, what they're working towards yet. But, you know, I mean, ultimately, she kind of just like picks up, like, she doesn't know how to do shit. And, you know, she's just like, okay, well, if you're going to get into some stupid shit, then I'm going with you to make sure that you're not gonna get hurt or get yourself into something you can't handle. So it's like, I can kind of respect that. You know, she certainly wasn't planning to go out to these plains and start fighting these creatures and everything like that, but she's doing it for the sake of, you know, just making sure that her friend doesn't go out and get himself killed. So
okay,
it's like,
but yes, she was doing that, but once she finishes that, she literally is like, so I was supposed to be watching the store this whole time, but
no,
like,
yeah,
girl,
true. I was like,
girl.
So like, you can go back and the whole store could be robbed. That's literally kind of an issue.
Like, okay. But
like, in the sense of, you know, like,
wait,
a dagger and be like, hey, but I'm coming with you. I don't know how the fuck to use this thing, but you know, I'll fight some shit for you. So, you know, I mean, so far I like Pinello and Vaughn. You know, I am interested to find out more about where they're going and what they ultimately decide to do. I like them better than, I mean, I liked Yuna and, you know, some of the other characters in Final Fantasy X when we were doing that playthrough. I like them better than Titus or Titus or, you know, however you say it. But, you know, I definitely, my first impression of Vaughn was just like, oh, fuck, no, not again. But then once I spent a little bit more time with him, I warmed up to Vaughn a little bit more.
Yeah, you know, it's actually a very interesting comparison because Titus as a character is really a character that's meant to be an introduction to a brand new world, like through the player's eyes, whereas Vaughn is this character who literally lives here. Like, he knows the back streets, he knows how to survive here to the best of his 17-year-old ability, because obviously he still does some dumb shit. But, you know, he has different goals and aspirations, and I think that's a very different place to put, you know, players in. So it's really interesting to see how, you know, it's just a little tangent on video game development and, you know, character writing, but the two different ways that this can be handled. And so I think this works really well for this game, because this game already assumes that you're going in, like, we already have so much backstory in the first 10 minutes. So like, we know more than we did in, you know, the beginning of Final Fantasy X, where you know absolutely nothing. And so when you
just washed up on a beach and you're like,
okay. Yep, and you're fighting sin. So when you have these characters that are more grounded and you already know a little bit, and like they also know, I think it's kind of a fresh way to look at it. But anybody else first impressions of Vaughn or Penelo?
Yeah, I got a few, and I'm gonna borrow some of them that from Marissa, because okay, so before Vaughn even said a word and I saw him, my first thought was, discount Titus, just from appearance. Just from appearance. And then I see the scene where he's like just stealing in the market. And it's like, oh, so discount Aladdin. So that happens.
Oh my god.
And then, same though.
Follow me, because I got one more. Because as Marissa mentioned, he fought those rats and said he could take on the world, and then mentions his thing about becoming a sky pirate with his big aspirations. Like, oh, discount Luffy from One Piece. So like,
he's just not a person on his own. He's a bunch of other people.
That is literally
no
my first impression. Like, from first appearance to first words to first actions, he just was like an amalgamation of like other characters that I really like. Like, all those three characters I mentioned, Titus, Luffy, and Aladdin, I like those characters a lot. So you would think that this character who's like a little bit of each of those would be someone I really like. And I'm not going to say I dislike Vaughn so far, but as far as like other JRPG protagonists, not even just Final Fantasy, just in general, Vaughn is not grabbing me so far. Like I got to see more of what his character does, but it's just like, he hasn't left a strong impression on me. Everyone else around him, which we'll get more into later as we go forward, is like more interesting to me than Vaughn himself. So speaking of one of those characters, Penelo, I'll have more to say later once we go in a little more detail, but first impressions about her. First off, I heard her voice. I thought it was cool that she's voiced by Kat Tabor, who voices Padme in Clone Wars. Just a little note there. There wasn't a lot to her in her first impression. She just seems to be, like you said, a motherly type that just worries about Vaughn and I guess the neighborhood in general. But that really didn't tell me too much about her, honestly. So I didn't know what to really make of Penelo when I first saw her. It was I guess it was kind of similar to Vaughn, where she like upon first impression, she wasn't really grabbing either. Like, so I was left in a pretty awkward position. It's like, I know these two are like your first party members of the game, and none of them has really rung a chord with me, which I'm not gonna lie, got me just a tad worried. I know that there's other party members later, and I know these characters are gonna develop more, but I was like, I'm just not feeling these first two right now. That changed a little bit as we go as we eventually got to the checkpoint. But yeah, that was my first impression of those two.
I think my problem with Penelo, the reason I talk so much shit about her, is because she just seems so reactionary. Like, the entire game could go without Penelo, like, which the entire game could probably also go without Vaughn a little bit later. But the entire game can go without Penelo. Everything she does is a reaction to something that, you know, Vaughn is doing. Also, the only thing I will say, because I'm gonna stop talking shit about Penelo. She's not that bad, but at least I didn't say that she looked like a man when she came on screen, unlike somebody in this chat. So I'm just gonna throw that out there.
It was just that one shot. It was just that one angle.
He literally saw her and was like, why she look like a man? And I was like, oh my God, you can't say that. Like, you can't say that. Oh my God. Yeah, no. Anybody else before I move on? 3, 2, 1. No? All right, cool.
Wait.
Oh, go ahead.
I was trying to unmute myself. First impressions, I honestly felt like you guys are saying motherly figure, but I feel like she really has like a crush on him in the first, at least my opinion. I was getting full on like that she liked him.
I could see that,
and that's why she wants to protect him. I didn't see it like as a motherly thing. I saw it as like your bae. I don't know, but I don't know. I mean, she's not horrible. I dislike her, but she's pretty useless. That's all I can say.
That's
all I got to say.
Vaughn?
Vaughn, I don't actually mind Vaughn. I feel like Titus was definitely more annoying than him.
Yeah.
Titus was just something else, but Vaughn isn't that bad. I feel like it's because Vaughn doesn't talk much. I feel like the cutscenes in this Final Fantasy aren't as often as they were in the Final Fantasy X that we played, at least in my opinion, from my memory. But
they're also shorter.
And they're shorter, yes. So I feel like when he talks, he's not like, oh, but what is that? You know?
Oh, it's true.
I don't mind him. I don't mind him at all.
Jumper, Annie, do you want to give impressions, or am I good to go?
Yeah. I felt like Vaughn was kind of flat. Like I felt like the most 3D character so far was Old Dawn. And
I love him.
That felt like a little weird to say. Like your main characters are supposed to be well-rounded. And I'm sure that like we're pretty early in the game, that like there's gonna be like a lot of development and stuff. It wasn't there at first. It felt like Vaughn was kind of used to explain a lot of things. Like most of the stuff he would say would just be like, oh, so that's what just happened.
Yeah,
I can see that. I think flat was kind of a good word to use for that, because once you said it, I was like, yeah. I can, for both of them, honestly. Like I can get behind that.
I feel like, and this is going to sound really weird at this point, but I feel like it's okay that they're flat, like because of the other characters that we're going to talk about pretty soon. Yeah. I think it's totally fine that they're flat. Like I am okay with them being flat characters because they would probably just never be in my party. Anyway, Jeff, did you want to jump in before I move on?
With my tainted first time impression of them, I'm just gonna say I don't like either of them.
Well,
and
there
we
we
can just
go.
move on because we've already met better characters than both of them. So you know, this is just filler. We're talking filler.
That is very true.
Everyone's like, all right, let's move on to the good people. They suck,
right?
All right, so I'm gonna summarize really quickly the rest of what happens. Vaughn decides that he's gonna help this guy named Miguelo, who is a whatever their race is called. I've already forgotten. Oh my God.
Bingo, I think.
They're what?
Bengals or what?
Yes,
thing?
yeah, the Benga. I think that's what's called.
Okay.
Yeah. And so he goes around to help him. The only significant thing that really happens is that he finds these Galbana lilies that are out in the desert when he's out sent on a desert hunt. And so we'll talk a little bit about that later. He goes on a hunt, and that's the first hunt that we as players encounter, and it's the first time we get out there and fight things. And then he comes back, and the gates are locked. And Panello, of course, and God, what is his name? I just said it. Miguelo. Oh my God, Miguelo. Panello and Miguelo are basically help everyone come in, and we get the sense of how the city's being shut down for this big celebration. And once they go through, the celebration happens, and there's this long-haired guy riding atop this floating car, like it's like a float in the middle of the city. His name is Vane Solidor. He is the new consul commander of the Arcadia Empire Western Fleet. And he hops from his car. He gives this rousing speech, to the people of Rabanastre. He promises the people that he won't frustrate the hatred that they have, that the people of Rabanastre feel against the Empire. He also won't ask for fealty from the people. He says the fealty is due to their late king, not to him. He mentions how even now he wants peace and goodwill for Dalmasca and to protect its people. And he asked that together, he and the people of Rabanastre honor the king and respect the peace that the king would definitely desire to continue to happen. With 2 years from the war, he wants there to be peace, and if it's achieved, the hatred of the people's hatred of the empire, he believes will go away. He says he will stand fast and ensure the hatred, ensure that hatred is let go, and that he defends Dalmasca and he pays his debts to the people. He says if Rabanastre will honor peace, they should, if they want to honor peace, they should do so for the fallen Lady Ashe and for their fallen King Ramanas. The speech goes pretty well and wins over the crowd pretty much. Everyone's like, okay, this guy came in, he said all the right things, as far as someone who is a commander from the Arcadian Empire. And then we see him meet Miguello. He insists that Miguello not call him Highness. He's like, just call me by my name. You know, another thing of him trying to be empathetic and understanding and just be of the people. And he says, importantly, I think, I don't know how important it is, but he says he is the son of the Emperor of Arcadia, which I was like, bitch, what? Like, that's a big deal. You don't just offhandedly say that. But he says he is the son of the empire, the king of the empire. So he is the prince. But he also says that Arcadia's emperor is freely chosen by the people, and he is simply an elected official, and he wants to be treated as such. He wants to be seen as a citizen of Rabanastre, and he will accept being called by just his name. He's really just a people person, and he wants that to get across. So even though he is the son of the empire who is literally trying to control the whole world, he's still a cool people, you know, he's still cool peeps. So did you guys have any feelings on that speech or Vane as a character, or anything in particular that really stood out to you before we move on from there?
That's the one with the long hair, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
That's Daddy.
Oh my god! I mean,
Wow.
That's true. She's right.
I mean, that's true.
you are not wrong.
That speaks the facts.
Literally what I was gonna say. No, that she's right.
It does help. It does help to be a daddy. Like, he is the son of the empire that's taken over our whole city, but also he's a daddy. So like, okay, it's cool. Fair. You just, you know,
I mean, are you gonna stop
parents.
him? Are you gonna stop him?
I mean, no,
I surely will not.
Okay.
I think it actually adds to the image of him, right? Like, he just killed all of our society. His people killed the king. I think that just makes him even hotter. He can just,
I mean, listen, you were just mentioning that, like, he killed our parents, right? So, like, you're just making room for a new daddy.
Oh my
Look, I was almost thinking of it like our Disney princess arc. Like, look, we don't even have parents to tell us no anymore.
I mean, facts, you really don't. What is happening?
I'm
Honestly, he
13.
can ruin
I'm
me. He can
practically an
ruin me.
adult.
I don't care.
Oh no. Okay.
Oh my god.
Well, do you have any thoughts on his speech? Was it believable? Do you think that he actually is truly for the people?
It's a politician, guys. Come on.
It's a politician. So you don't believe it.
I'm kind of like in the I was like listening to it, and although yes, I was looking into his dreamy potentially villainous, but at the same time I don't really care eyes.
Oh my
I was like, he could just be saying all this shit. Like, I don't think he means all this nice stuff. I was like seeing everyone in the crowd like start to clap their hands and everything like that, and I was like, y'all, we're literally starving and just got kicked by a car this afternoon, and you're like, yeah, he's great, I'm for him, so I was like, I don't think I'm buying it. I'm not necessarily saying he's the evil one, because it's like I see that he could be like a good cog in a really fucked up machine, right now. The jury's kind of out on him. His appearance kind of helps them right now, but
very culty vibes though.
Yeah, and like how quick everyone was just to like, yeah, I'm sold. He said nice words to me and that made me feel special. Like, everyone was real quick to just jump on the on the bandwagon with that speech.
I mean, Steph is right. It is the cult vibes. Like you deprive them of food, you lock them out, and then you come in and tell them how good you're gonna be, and then they just join you because that's what happens in cults. He is the cult leader.
Plus he's cute.
So it does help.
If his face is gonna be printed on money, at least I won't own any. I might own one penny, but if his face is on it, that's all the pennies I need. I just need one.
And this is why we have JRPG Club, this conversation right here. This is the reason. Anyone else?
Yep. Yeah. So Vayne is three things. He's handsome, he's charismatic, and he's got a way of words. And it's for those three reasons that I do not trust this man.
His name's also Vayne.
I was just gonna say his name is literally Vayne.
Yeah, Vayne Salvador. Like I was being moved by that speech, and when I was getting moved, despite the fact that position was like, oh no, this man's dangerous. Yeah. Like when I felt myself get slayed, I was like, oh no, this guy has to be trouble. He is too powerful, his words. So when the people started clapping, that's when I knew that he was dangerous because everything he said made sense in the context of his situation and why they ended up clapping for him. Now I just want to point something out real quick though. I talked to pretty much every NPC I could when I was both on the Surface Rabbiness as well as Low Time, which we'll talk about later. On the surface, a lot of people were kind of echoing the whole applause, be like, hey, that Vayne guy, I guess he's not so bad. Maybe this will be okay. You go to Lowtown though, and nobody trusts Vayne. They would see him hang down in Lowtown. Yep. And that just speaks to the situation that they're in. And the people in Lowtown, most of them probably didn't even see that speech. So they didn't have the benefit of even getting swooned by his words.
But that also means they didn't see how handsome he was. So
oh my gosh, fair point.
That's true.
Fair point.
That's true.
Yeah, very true.
Brandon.
No, you're good. That's all I really got to say about Vayne. It's just he has three really good things going for him. I don't want to hate him, but I'm probably going to. I'm getting kind of Seymour vibes from him.
Okay, but
he's a lot more.
Seymour was
he's a lot.
But was Seymour not a daddy though?
He was. Yes.
Seymour was a daddy.
Now I feel like it's confirmed because if Seymour was a daddy and he was the bad guy,
there's a pattern here.
Final Fantasy knows what works. Okay,
exactly.
Don't change what isn't broken.
Kelly, for anyone who listens to our podcast, Kelly. Kelly loves Sephiroth, and I mean Sephiroth is gorgeous, but he's also the bad guy. So yeah, there's the pattern here. I think we figured it out. But sometimes the bad guys aren't necessarily really bad. But I mean, we don't even know. I don't know if he's a bad guy. I don't know. Annie, did you want to jump in?
Yeah, I was gonna say, all we've really been handed at this point is the end of the war, and then this guy, right? We don't know any of the diplomacy that was trying to go on before, if there was any even. So this could just be good peoples, and we're the bad people. And now he's listen, we didn't want to do that, but we had to, and now we can all just be one. And they're no, fuck you. You killed my dad. I'm gonna kill you. And it's I don't know everything that's going on yet.
Yeah, true. He is in a very precarious position too, being the son of the emperor. It's maybe he is that, because there's always that trope of the son of the bad guy who wants to be good, but the dad's always no, you gotta be bad. I feel that's a Star Wars thing. I don't know. I don't watch Star Wars, but it sounds very Star Warsy. Am I wrong? I don't know.
I'm gonna put this label on it. I've never seen it or heard anything about this label, but this is the label I'm putting on it. Yeah, tell me if it's the wrong label though.
Because isn't Luke's dad the bad guy?
Yes, you are correct.
But Luke wants to be good.
But he didn't know. He didn't know.
Okay, but he wants to be good.
He didn't know.
But he wants to be good. But his dad's the bad guy.
But he doesn't know. He doesn't know his dad's the bad guy.
Okay, so Vayne, maybe
he thought the bad guy killed his dad, honestly.
Maybe Vayne was adopted, so he doesn't even know it's not even his real bad guy. I mean,
that'd be helpful.
Maybe he doesn't. maybe he doesn't know he's adopted.
Maybe he doesn't know he's adopted.
Vane's gonna have either his villain arc because of that or his good guy arc.
You don't never know. So speaking of Lowtown, after Vane has his lovely little speech, Vaughn, for whatever fucking reason, decides that he is going to break into.
I killed 3 sewer rats, guys. I can take on the palace. It's fine.
Yep, he decides he's going to break into the treasury room in the palace and steal something because he doesn't like how, I guess, Dalmasca and Rabanastre are being treated by the Empire, and it's not fair that the rich people get to be above here and living life and etc., and the rest of us are just slumming it. So yeah, he feels like it's not fair, and he decides for that reason that they're having a fete, and during the fete he's gonna break into the castle and steal something of value. So to do so, he goes to Lowtown that Brandon was talking about a little bit, and he meets this cute little old man, this old little brown man smoking a pipe, petting a weird looking pink rabbit named Old Dallin, who I love. I love him so much. And very quickly, because I said I was going to talk about this, characters like him, I think they're a really good job at world building in Final Fantasy XII, because we talked a little bit in chat about how big just everything is and how you get lost and how this map is huge. And this game is literally filled. There are NPCs everywhere to talk to. They are all different races, different colors. Like I really love that Final Fantasy 12 has so far shown how diverse the world of Ivalice is. I just had to point that out. It's really dope. Like I was talking to this little old brown man smoking his pipe, and I was like, oh, this is so cute. Look at you. You're probably gonna die soon, but like I appreciate his character design.
My God.
He is gonna die. That man is gonna die soon, or he's gonna live forever.
Exactly? You didn't know that.
You don't know what's
death in the beginning.
Hello.
Thank you. It is devil's juice. Devil's juice that will make him live forever.
It's keeping him alive forever. I don't know if his character is a stereotype or not, but I appreciated having some nice brown skinned people in there doing their thing, living in the world. Anyway, so he talks to Old Dallin, who is like, hey, I know how to get you in the palace, because of course he does. And he tells him that this secret alleyway that leads directly into the palace, there's a door with a magic stone that opens it, and Dallin has the stone that he has to give to Vaughn, but Vaughn has to take the stone out and give it some juice, some power, and then come back with it and then break into the palace. So Lowtown, let's talk about it just really quickly. As Brandon mentioned, everyone in Lowtown is there because they cannot afford to live above the ground. All those people in Lowtown once did live above the sewers, because by the way, Lowtown means they're living in the sewers. So they all once did live above the sewers until they were forced underground by the Imperials after the war. So of course this means that Vane and his people took the lowest of the low rung that were living above town, forced them to live in the sewers, and everyone who had money, they left them living above town. But everyone who lives above the ground, it takes a lot of gil, by the way, which is money in Final Fantasy. It takes a lot of gil to live above ground. But the good thing for the people living in Lowtown is that the Imperials don't bother going below into the sewers, which pretty much leaves the Rabanastre citizens in Lowtown to their own devices. So this is the first time that we've actually experienced the disparity in Rabanastre. So what the Empire has effectively done is they've separated the population at the poverty line and just stuck the lowest of the low. Literally, they just took all the poor people and moved them into the sewers, and they were like, get out, and then just left everyone above. And I was like, holy shit, this is actually, like, if you think about it, really fucking horrible.
Gentrification.
Like, it is the worst version of gentrification, because you literally just put them in the fucking sewer. Like, you didn't even move them anywhere. You literally threw them in the sewers and was like, bye. Like, you didn't take them anywhere else. And the impact of that, I think, isn't really felt until you actually talk to the NPCs who kind of explain basically what Brandon said. Like, all that information that I just told you guys was from speaking to this little nosy ass girl who lives like in Lowtown, because she just listens to everything, and she questions things. She's like, damn, Brandon, do you remember what question she asked? Like, there was something she said that really struck me. I think she talks about, like, she's like, above ground they have it fine, but below, like, the Empire doesn't come here. But she talks about why she thinks that the Empire put them down there and why it might be better to be down there, and also why it's better to be above. And she's just like this really smart character that has a shit ton to say about their situation. But I really think the game doesn't really push the message of gentrification forward, but if you pay attention, it's like, damn, not only did the Empire take away from these people, it literally gentrified the Dalmascans. Like, it's really fucking bad. Anything on that before I move on?
Yeah, I'm gonna help your SEO for like 5 seconds. In the new hit show on Netflix, Arcane, the League of Legends story, which is actually doing really well. I'm really glad because it's really good. It's a lot like the setting there, where they have Piltover is separated into like the upper society, which gets all like the protections of the police and all that good stuff. And then you have what's called the lanes, and those are the poor people. They're all hooked up on like some drug that they call Shimmer. And the cops only go down there to beat them, basically.
Yep. That is, thank you, Annie. That is pretty much it. I've watched one episode. It's really good so far.
It's really good.
Anyone else on this revelation before I move on?
Not really.
All right. So old Alan's like, yeah, you got to take this thing, go make a sunstone, come back. So we go out and we travel in the desert, and Penelo is like, what are you doing, Vaughn? I'm coming with you because I can't trust you to do shit on your own. And so we finally get a second party member. I'm going to talk a little bit about the mechanics of battle a bit later, but we finally get a second party member who is Penelo, who joins us. We go out, we do the thing. There's some little kid that's broken his leg or hurt his leg or something, and he was making whatever, none of that matters. We get the sunstone, it's powered up. We come back to Old Alan, we're like, hey, we've got it. He's like, all right, so don't forget where to go. You go this way, go that way, get into the palace. So we go back. He tells us, what does he say? Something about a signet. He gives
it was like a whole rhyme thing.
Yeah. He gives us instructions to get into the castle, and then subsequently the royal treasury. It was, I got it. The signet yearns for sunstone strength to light the clouded way. And I was like, I don't know what the fuck that means. I feel like I'm
not
so
gonna
lost.
remember this.
Yeah,
Thank you.
Like, I hope I don't need this because I've already forgotten it. And right before we head out, there's a short cut scene of what looks to be a royal guard of Rabanastre, the royal guard that we saw in the beginning. And it looks like they're planning to infiltrate the castle with a mysterious figure that we don't know yet. And the royal guard, as in the royal guard of Rabanastre, the ones who infiltrated to try to save the king from the beginning. It looks like they are also about to be trying to break into this castle. So not only is Vaughn trying to break in during the feat, it looks like there's another group that's also attempting to do the same. So then we traveled through the Garam Scythe waterway. We make our way into the royal palace, and then we see another cutscene of two individuals flying some hoverized motorbike, and they are also about to make their way into the palace grounds in another area. So now we have Vaughn breaking in one side. We've got this group of Rabanastre soldiers who hate the Empire breaking in, and on another side with some mysterious figure. And then we have just these two who we find out are sky pirates flying a fucking flying motorcycle. Really cool. Also about to break into this palace. So after exploring inside the castle, we use the crystal, we flip some hidden switches, we go through some false walls, we make it to the treasury. There's a statue directly inside that opens as soon as we open the door, and there's a mysterious crystal inside of it. Vaughn walks up, he takes the crystal, and then the two strangers that we saw earlier on the motorbike, they come in, and we are now introduced to Fran and Belthier, and they attempt to steal what is now known as a magicite, the stone, from Vaughn, who of course then whines like a baby saying it's his. So let's talk about first impressions of Fran and Belthier, because one thing that I will say is they are the best characters in this game, and
best characters in the game.
100% baddies.
And the reason and that's why I said, it's unnecessary. Vaughn and Penelo are so unnecessary, and I think that the reason that Vaughn is so unnecessary is because Bash himself, I'm sorry, not Bash, Belthier himself literally says, I am the leading man. And I'm like, well, yeah, you are. Like, you are the star of this game. No wonder
Thank you
everybody
for finally
else sucks.
introducing yourself.
Exactly. No wonder everyone else sucks. You are the star of the game. So yeah, let's talk a little bit about Fran and Belthier. Give me first not Belthier. Yes, Belthier, sorry. Give me first impressions of Fran and Belthier, please.
Fran is Bay.
Yeah, Fran is Bay, Belthier is Daddy. That's my first impressions on both of them. They are incredible, and like, if Vaughn wasn't right there while they were there, I would have forgotten about him completely because Penelo had already disappeared from my mind. I'm like, who? I'm just like,
they command every scene.
Honestly, and we're gonna get more into a second, but there's like a guest that comes with you that was like, can it just be about this guest and Belthier and Fran?
Literally,
yeah.
Can they just leave the game?
Because like all three of those characters are, I instantly like them compared to Vaughn and Penelo, who I'm just like, no, they're great. I absolutely love Belthier and Fran. First off, you described them that scene coming off in the flying motorcycle. What an entrance!
Right?
As if their designs weren't enough, they make such an awesome entrance. They are already sky pirates, which Vaughn just wants to be one. So they're already living their best life down there. Belthier's voice was like literally making me melt. Same with Fran's. It was just like
such great fucking English voice acting on those two. Holy shit, I love them. Like I love
they're super good.
Their voices, so good.
They're incredible. Yeah, so I want to say my first impression that was really good.
Yeah.
I feel pretty positive about it.
When I saw her bending over, had her little booty tooted out, driving that motorcycle, I was like, girl, who are you? I want to meet you. Fuck Vaughn. Fuck Penelo. Like, hello. Like, you are gorgeous. And, I love me some brown skin characters. I was like, hey, babe. I'll be your Belthier. I also feel like they got something for each other. Like, they're totally fucking. Called it 100%. He is tapping that bunny booty. Like, I called it. I don't care what
who wouldn't though?
I mean, who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
They're both fine. I mean,
I'd love to be in the middle of that one.
But I mean, kind of going back to what Annie had talked about, you go from having these characters that I feel like had been kind of flat, and then I felt like the whole time of trying to get like used to Vaughn and Penelo a little bit with her, I kind of felt like, okay, sure, she's there, so that way we're both leveling up, and I'm getting used to combat and everything. And then with Vaughn, I was like, like I felt like I just kind of like kept like, maybe he'll grow on me eventually, maybe he won't. And I think the cool thing about how the Zodiac works is I was at least trying to like get a little bit more like bonded with him over that instance of it, of like choosing a Zodiac sign based on that. So it was like I was kind of more like maybe if I don't get attached to his character in the sense of like writing or development wise, at least like the choices that I make with him
will make you care more.
Yeah, like maybe that'll happen. But then I met the two of them, and it was like, for how well they're written, for how well they're immediately acted, for how interesting they immediately are. Like you automatically want to know why the fuck they're there.
Yep.
You want to know, why are they after this item? We already know why Vaughn is in this sort of like childish, I'm gonna steal. Like, first of all, you're not taking this to a pawn shop.
For real.
Like this whole thing isn't planned out, right? Like, so it's like, you want to know what they want to do with it, not what Vaughn wants to do with it. You want to know their whole purpose for being here way more than Vaughn's. It's like everything they immediately do when they walk into this situation, you're way more invested in. So it's like, they're immediately cranked up to 1,000 when they walk into the situation. So it's like, just meeting them instantly, and like, I know that you and I were talking about it because you introduced me to Fran like way long ago, years ago. And I fell in love with her voice acting so long ago. She has the coolest voice ever. And so just like hearing her and everything like that too, and then seeing this like charismatic, like personality that Belthier just like exudes, you know.
Yes.
Like I can't even think of like a better word to use for him. You know, it's like I'm ready to go on whatever fucking trip they take me
Yes.
on. I don't care where the fuck Vaughn ends up. He can be in our back
Oh my
pocket, you
God.
know, like whatever, you know, at this point. I feel bad because, you know, the whole thing with Rex and everything like that, it's not like I want anything bad to happen to Vaughn. He can, you know, tag along in the background. He can help us on our Sky Pirate ship because I'm going wherever the fuck Fran and Belthier say to
Yes.
go. Like, I'm signed the fuck up. So my first impression is like, I don't know where this story is going now at this point, but right now I'm so invested because of these two characters.
Yes.
Like, just I'm in. Like, as soon as they fucking stormed into the scene, tried to steal the shit that I just stole, I was like, okay, here you go.
You can have it, right? Like, I don't want it anymore.
Just tell me what you do with it. I want to know. Can I actually help you? Can I be your henchman now?
You're so right that like, what the fuck is Vaughn gonna do with this? He doesn't even know what it is, and they're just like, bro, like you were 12 years old.
You can't walk back into town with this thing that you just stole from the palace.
For
like,
real, like,
hello,
sir.
Vaughn.
And I also think that, you know, Belthier, there is a very fine line between being charismatic and being cocky. And he like, his character is so well done that he kind of rides the line that it's not, you know, because you can have characters that are really annoying with their cockiness, but he just like everything he says, I'm like, yeah, no, you could do it. I'm sure. Like if he said he could do something.
Even, I love the way that he does the tutorial for the gambits because it's like, again, I think JRPGs can do tutorials so wrong where they're just feeding you information that becomes way too overwhelming. But having him describe it like his character, and him being like, well, personally, I wouldn't do it this way, darling, but if you're going to, you know, and I was just like, oh my, yeah, tell me to switch it to heal ally. Okay, daddy. Like, you know, so I mean, it just like, just even having the Gambit tutorial be in his voice and, you know, everything like that made me like, I feel like it made it stick a little bit more and made me realize how it's gonna work a little bit better, and that I can go in and so highly personalize it and have so many, because, you know, it did kind of go through both in a way that was oh my god, I just had the word in it, like went out of my brain. It was both like insightful, but then at the same time it left it so that you can go and explore on your own. It's not like, let me hold your hand through every single step of this, but it showed what an attack type one, what an offensive one is, and what a defensive or like a healing one is, you know. So I was like, okay, I like that it showed both, so I know a little bit of both, but at the same time it's like, but by the way, we're still in the sewers, so let's get out of here. You know? So I was like, okay, cool. I'm about both of this. Like, let's skedaddle.
And Fran, I think this is the first time we see Vieira actually talking. And so I think the voice actress is just so great because it's so striking. There's an accent there, and you know that she's different. Like, you know that she has a fucking story to tell. We don't know what it is yet, but you can hear it. And it's just really exciting. It's very exciting. So I'm gonna move on a little bit, and then we can talk about more stuff because we've got another character that is gonna come. So there's some commotion actually within the palace, which gives Vaughn a chance to run. So he walks outside and he sees an airship, and there's literally an airship bombing the palace with the resistance, which is like, holy shit, what exactly is going on now? Because for whatever reason, something's happening, something bad is happening, who knows. Vaughn uses this chance to escape, and as this is happening, there is Belthier and Fran, they chase him out, and then they jump off the ledge and take Vaughn with them. And I'm like, what the fuck are they doing? And they jump off the ledge. Fran has the motorbike. She's driving the motorbike. They jump off with Vaughn. And unfortunately, something happens with the motorbike. It's not listening to her. And they crash. They get into the sewers. And as Marissa mentioned, we now have access to the party menu, and we have access to gambits, which are explained to us. And after that, we go through the sewers. There are some fallen soldiers in the alleyway. Belthier mentions that this was part of Vane's plan to lure the insurgents in during the banquet, and then have them killed. So this is the first instance of like, oh shit, if Belthier is right, Vane probably knew some shit like this was going to happen. He had it all planned out, and this is his way of ensuring that any insurgents who still don't like the Empire are going to be killed. So as we traverse further, we come upon this mysterious woman, which is the same woman we saw earlier who was with the Resistance. And she's being attacked by some Imperial guards. Vaughn is there. He tells her to jump down. She jumps down from the ledge into Vaughn's arms. Literally, while this happened, I was like, oh my God, he gonna drop her, but he didn't. He caught her. I really just knew he was gonna drop her. So she jumps into Vaughn's arms. And then Vaughn, Fran, Belthier, and this mysterious woman fight together. They save her. She introduces herself as Amalia. And after that, the Magicite, which Vaughn is holding, it reacts to her in some weird way. And while she's talking, she asks what happened to those who came with her. She finds out that they are all dead. Like all her resistance friends are dead because like the Empire has fucked them up. So she then joins the party as a guest character, and she mentions that she's part of the insurgents. And she's like, we're not the Resistance, we're insurgents. She's like, she wants to be very clear, like, I'm sorry, we are the Resistance, don't call us insurgents. So then as we continue, we get to our first mini boss, which is a group of 4 Flans. We proceed, and then we run into the real final boss, which is Firemane. And once we defeat Firemane, Lord Vane shows up with his Imperial Guard and puts all of us under arrest. While this happens, Amalia is taken away, and while she's taken away, she says, release these people. They've done nothing wrong. They don't give a fuck. They still arrest her and take her away. And the rest of the gang is thrown into the Nalbana dungeons. And while in the dungeons, Vaughn has a nice little memory played of Rex when
is it nice?
Well, okay, it's not necessarily nice. He has a memory of Rex, and he's talking to Rex. He gives him the Galbania flowers that I mentioned before, and he asks, he wonders if Rex really had anything to do with killing the king, and that's everything for the story. So next we're just going to talk about the latest addition to the party, this guest character Amalia. Then we'll talk about combat overall, and then we'll be done with the podcast. Does that sound good to you guys?
We're going to talk about classes as well, right?
Yes, of course. The classes and all of that is going to be included in all that's going to be included in our discussion of the gameplay mechanics. So let's get into it. All right, so to continue on, that's everything that happens in the story. Let's talk about this guest character, and then we're going to talk about some wonderful game mechanics, what classes everybody picked, how the combat is, etc. So first up, Amalia. Thoughts, opinions, tell me.
Amalia came
Also
in, and
I agree.
And after the guest tutorial, I was like, "You sure she has to be a guest? Can she just stay in the party? Because she's really cool. I want her to stay."
Already better than Vaughn and Penelope.
Honestly, like if the first ended and Vaughn was just like, you know what? I'm gonna just take on a street level. This adventure thing doesn't suit me, and it was just Amalia, Belthier, and Fran. I'll be like, you know what? That's all right. I'll take that.
She is really cool.
She's just really cool. That's really all there is to it. Like she's headstrong, and she like cares about like them because she was like, hey, take me, not them, or whatever, which is something I appreciate as well.
Oh yeah, she did say that. Yeah.
Yeah. So I really hope we see more of her later on because I really like her so far.
Legit, she was like, so y'all stole that? And they were like, yeah. And she was like, oh my God, fine, whatever. Like, I was like, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. Like, I guess
you can't be bothered
now. Like, okay, I guess I'm working with fucking thieves. Oh, there's also that moment where Penelo finds out that Vaughn, I almost called him Titus, where Penelo finds out that Vaughn is arrested, and she runs over. And then, you know, Belthier, being the cool guy he is, he literally just steps in the way, and he's like, hold this for me while I go save your dumbass friend. And I'm like, oh my God, this man can get it
right with a handkerchief.
Like, yes,
I was just like, oh my God,
like you can get it anytime, anywhere, sir. Like, come on. He didn't even do. He literally just stood to the side and was like, hold this for me. I got this. And I'm like, oh my God, daddy. Okay. He's just so likable. Penelo, she saw it. That's why she was like, "Oh, okay."
Like, I guess I have to listen now. I'm in love.
She knew.
Now I have to get your name tattooed on me somewhere. Those are the rules. I don't make them. So I have
force of them.
Yeah. I have thoughts on what's
Amalia?
her freaking but like I also feel like I can't say them.
No, go ahead, say your thoughts. They're not spoilers because they're literally a part of the game we played. Tell me your theories.
I thought in the very beginning it was bullshit that Lady Ash killed herself, and then I saw her, this lady
Amalia?
that is a guest, and I'm just like, this is the bitch. Like,
like bitch, that's you.
No.
If it's her, I will lose my shit.
Same.
I
hope
lose
so.
my shit.
I saw her standing there and I was just like, Lady Ash, what are you doing up there? Like, you are being so extra right now. You're not even hidden. There's not even a hood on your head or like a disguise or a mask or anything. So that's where I'm at.
Okay.
With that, because the whole, like, I totally get the whole, it's probably for her safety or, some sort of like thing for them to claim that she committed suicide, or that, even if it was some sort of like way to manipulate the people into like, look, you've lost everything, even your lady. But like, girl, I'm not
Marissa's
fooled.
like, bitch, that's you. Like, I am not fooled.
Like, as
now I have
they
to
announced it, I was just like, no, she's coming back. And I think the thing is too, is like, I looked at it even like a film theory thing, because I was like, they are bringing her up way too damn much for her to be dead. And then I saw this bitch and I was like, this is you. I wanted to do like the Flynn Rider thing from fucking Tangled and be like, ma'am, is this you just with like a different nose or something? Like, you're just wearing a different outfit, like just not a wedding dress.
Maybe she got a sister. Damn.
No. I'm not feeling it. But yeah, so that's where my thoughts are aligned currently right now.
Can I ask Brandon and Steph, like, how do you feel about that theory? Because y'all are just like, if that's her, I'm gonna lose my shit.
Oh, I would 100% agree. I would back that storyline so hard.
Okay,
yeah.
so
just because it's like,
so you guys aren't sold that it's Lady Ash, but you would back the story.
Yes. Like, I guess, I mean, Marissa brings up a good point where she could be faking that death to, you don't know the reasons. It could be to help the people, or it could be to like be part of the resistance or whatever it is that she calls them. Because I mean, I'm sure after she died, that's when she found out, or before she died, quote unquote, all of the I guess the what is that called when they go against the royalty? What is that called? Treason. Like treason, yeah. That was going on. So I mean, maybe it kind of was a way to also like save herself. So I see it. I can see her disguising herself, but also if she really was, I don't see why she wouldn't be covering her face that well, because I feel like people would realize that's her. So I don't know.
Right? Like, you were literally in the middle of a huge wedding ceremony. We all know what you look like.
But my thing is, like, again, my memory could be failing me, but didn't she have black hair? Or I could be crazy.
She did have that veil over her hair that was black during the funeral, and she did have like darker hair, I believe.
Okay.
But she had like brownish hair in the beginning, so maybe it's
so. I mean, she could be pulling a Hannah Montana for all we know. I don't know. I don't know.
But box dyes in her compartment.
Change her hair. Yes. I mean, it's totally possible. Again, if that is the case, I back it, just because that's a cool little like twist in the story. But yeah, I look forward to seeing. I hope it is. I kind of hope it is.
Brandon?
No, I'm pretty much in agreement. Like, I could go either way out of it. I would love it if she was, though.
Oh, cool. All right. Annie or Job, do you have anything to add about Amalia?
No.
Don't even. She's not even cool. Just nah.
No, she is cool. I like I said
Listen.
already. She's already way better than Vaughn and Penela already. I already called them fillers because I don't like them.
Rip.
And yeah, this chick is way cooler than them.
Annie, you were saying?
Yeah. Hold on. I got a dog walking on my headphone cord. Give me 1 second.
Okay, no problem. That also sounds adorable, by the way.
Alrighty. So, Amalia, yeah, she's cute and she has a sword and a shield. And I was like, yo, you can be like the buff mommy babe who can like protect me. Cool.
Yes. Oh my gosh,
Yes.
yes. Okay, so since you brought that up, let's talk about character classes, right? So the Zodiac Age gives you 12 different classes. Each class is tied to a zodiac sign, which I think is pretty freaking cool. There are also summons in the game that are also tied to zodiac, so I can't wait until we get to see what summons are tied to our zodiac signs in real life. But anyway, there are 12 different classes, each based on a zodiac sign. So this game literally allows you the option to pick whatever class you want for whatever character, which is always fun. So we did talk a little bit about some of the stuff in the game, because I know that I mentioned that I was having some issues with the last hunt character enemy that you had to take down that I believe Brandon and Marissa had absolutely no problems with.
I wouldn't say no problems. Okay.
I
Okay.
had problems.
Sucked.
I had
Like-
problems.
Well,
Like
y'all had a
my
much
first two
easier
attempts didn't
time.
go well.
Y'all had a much easier time than I did. So let's discuss what classes you picked for Vaughn and Penela while she was a guest member. And if you did choose classes for Fran and Belthier, what classes you chose for them and why? Starting with Marissa.
Oh, I was
Your name
literally
was
booting
first.
up my thing. I remember what I picked for Vaughn and Penelo. So I, again, for Vaughn, wanted to try and like, maybe I'll like him more if he's based on my zodiac. So I went for the Time War Mage, I think is the official
I think the
title.
time battle
Or
mage.
Time Battle. So that's kind of interesting. I typically go for like either well, typically healers. Let's just be real here. So it's been kind of interesting to have more like debuffs and stuff like that, as opposed to just like straight healing or anything. But then also still having, of course, you know, you start out with your dagger. The licenses are still kind of weird, but I think it's just more of like getting used to having the like you have to purchase the licenses for accessories and stuff. And at first I didn't quite get how you could have the license to use your Libra ability, but then you didn't just get it and you had to go like buy it from a shop. And that was really confusing to me, because I was like, I have the Libra ability, why can't I use it? So, you know, like at first it was a little bit confusing, but now that I've gotten to play that, you know, I figured it out. I'm on the right track now. And then for Penelo, right now, I have her as a white mage, but I think I want to swap that up. For consistency's sake, because you meet Fran and she has a bow, I picked Archer.
Well,
And for consistency's sake, because you meet Belthier and he has a gun, I picked Machinist. Because it said proficiency in guns or, you know, whatever. So I think I'm going to switch all of that once, you know, I'm able to talk to the person that you can do that with again. But I made those decisions in the sewer and have not been able to talk to an individual since. So those are my current classes right now that I've been kind of locked into, because I figured, you know, going into a boss, to me, I thought you had to have class decisions made. I didn't like realize that, you know, you just already had access to their licenses. I realized, like, obviously, because of the tutorial on gambits, clearly Fran knew cure, I think is what it's called. And then Belthier knew first aid, but I felt like, oh shit, I need to make these.
First aid is trash, by the way.
Yeah, and like I had no idea. I was just like, oh fuck, I'm gonna fight the boss soon. And so I made a decision. And so I was like, Fran's an archer, and so I picked that, and then machinist for Belthier, because I was freaking out thinking I was gonna fail this boss fight. So yeah, those are the classes I picked so far, and I'm not thrilled with my decisions yet. But you know, I will change those up eventually. It's just that right now, where we've left off, I can't, because I can't talk to anyone. I'm just stuck somewhere.
Yep.
At current.
So I'll go next because I'm the next person that I see. So what I decided to do was not follow what their base classes were, because since I did play a little bit of the original, I've already had Fran as a archer and Belthier as a machinist. So I was like, nah, we're not doing that this time. I made Vaughn, I believe I made him a Shikari, so that he is just like stabbing people with daggers. And then I switched him. At first he was a Shikari. I'm totally lying. He is a monk. I made Vaughn a monk, and he is so cool because if you get monk proficiency, you get a pole, and he like flings the pole around, and he does all this really cool like pole flipping stuff. And if you do the victory scene at the end, he like flips the pole up, and I was like, oh shit, bro, you cool as fuck. And so he's a monk, and I had Penelo as a Shikari. And so when I took on the third boss, I had no healing except for first aid, which is trash. And that's why it was so hard, but I leveled up a little bit, and I bought, I bought the license for more health for her, and I did it again, and it was super easy. So I had Shikari and Monk for those two, and Fran is my Black Mage, and Belthier is my Bushi, which is the katana wielding samurai style job. What about Job?
Well, I'm kind of gonna be the stick in the mud this time. I'm gonna have to leave you on to be decided, because for Vaughn at least, I picked Archer at first because I want to do the same thing you did. I don't want to do what I did in the first run. I don't want him to wield knives again.
Mm-hmm.
So I just tried something else different. And then when I couldn't get anything in the license board, I was like, wow, I'm wasting my time right now. I don't I'm gonna commit to something and regret it. And I don't want to do that. So I switched them to Red Battle Mage because that's like kind of what I have interest in now. But for Penelo, Belthier, and Fran, I haven't picked anything yet because I don't have any licenses. So I'm like, what do I do with this? It's just, this gives me nothing.
You can buy a few licenses now.
Yeah, but I didn't really grind money or anything like that to buy stuff. So like right now, I don't really have anything. So I just didn't make them anything. And when I do get something, I'm gonna just be all right. This is what you're doing.
Wait, guys, you mean we get out of the prison? No, I'm just kidding.
As you can see, Job was just like, this is too early, too easy. So he just went in, no classes.
Nah, it's not about difficulty. We just
I'm a veteran. I don't need to pick classes.
Just like me freaking out in the chat, and I was like, oh my god, was he level 9 before the boss? Yeah. I need to fucking play this game for 15 hours.
Yeah, you guys are definitely higher level than me. I'm level 6. Some of you are level like 8. And so I'm like, nah.
I am also level 6. Brandon, what about you? What classes did you pick?
So for the latter three, it's just the same as Marissa. Penelo's a white mage, Fran is an archer, and Belthier is a machinist for the same reason that pretty much that she said. Yeah, like with Penelo, like I was like, okay, she's my first party member. I needed a white mage. Like I just feel like I need at least one healer while Vaughn does the damage. Speaking of which, Vaughn's class that I have him in right now was based on my zodiac sign, so I made him a red battle mage.
Oh,
and that's been pretty interesting so far. It's I haven't found any maces yet, so I haven't been able to give him the weapon of his class yet. But I have been getting some cool skills. Like I've been getting like slow, for example. I have dark, which has been useful, especially for that flowering cactoid. Just having slow and dark on that thing was like really useful to taking it down. I did not have
either on that thing.
Yeah, like I got it with both status, and Penelo was healing me. It was a very long fight, but it was doable with those skills on hand. Yeah, it's been going pretty well so far. Like Marissa, I don't know if I'm going to be keeping Penelo as a white mage because it doesn't seem as useful anymore. But despite it being like, Fran has the bow, so of course make an archer, and both of you having the gun, of course, and make a machinist. I'm okay actually with them being those classes personally. I think I'm probably going to keep them as those, especially Fran, and I'll tell you why. I used so much of her license job points to increase her HP. So now she has like so much HP. Like the rest of the party is like around 280. Fran's got like 590 HP right now because I just gave her like all those HP job points, and it was just like she's not going to die, and she's my healer, so that's perfect.
That's so interesting. I chose my classes based on looks, like, and I was like, I don't want Penelo healing me. She's so side character. Like, what the fuck? So I didn't make her a white mage, and I never picked a white mage. I was like, y'all all suck. I don't trust Penelo healing me, and I damn sure don't trust Vaughn healing me because oh my god, he can barely stand up on his own.
I'll say that I did the exact same thing that Brandon did, was that in the beginning I was so fucking scared of not having healing. So that's why I chose Penelo as my white mage, was that I was just like, I need someone with healing. What the fuck am I supposed to do if I don't have money? And you know, how hard are potions going to be to find? So like in the beginning, definitely I was like, white mages heal, you know, like that's like my baseline understanding of Final Fantasy.
Yeah. What about you, Annie?
All right, listen. I looked at all 12 classes and realized that 11 of them are useless. You only need knights. And so all 4 of them are knights, okay? Yes! They are all knights. We went into that boss
Annie,
fight
I adore you so
400
much.
Health each.
Yes!
We did not need any healing. We did just fine.
Oh my god. Yes. Is that how you defeated the whatchamacallit? I can't even remember the name of it. Yeah, the dinosaur.
So all right. I went into the trials and did the trials I got Penelo the first time. And I saw on a video that you can just set Vaughn to pickpocket the stage 3 trial flowering cactoid and get like a really good sword. So I got it, and then I just went and killed him. It has like 95 attack power. It can stun. It's really good. And all you need is broadswords, which is perfect for knights.
It's just like everybody's a knight. Everybody's got high HP. Like fuck this. You don't need shit else. Like,
what did I tell you guys? You don't need healing if you just are tanky enough.
Yep, you were not wrong. I really love it. You know, honestly, I did look at the license boards, which is another reason I didn't pick Archer or Machinist, because I looked at what was available and I was like, all of this is trash. Like I thought that both those classes were kind of trash. No offense to you guys for picking them, but like, nah, they were not good to me compared to like Bushi or Time Battle Mage or Black Mage, which has like, you know, fire and cure on a white mage. Those other basic classes, I was like, nah, these look trash, which is why I did not pick them. But Steph, what did you pick?
All right. So please do keep in mind, guys, that I don't play games. I am the biggest noob ever. This disclaimer is important. I had no idea that I could pick classes for Penelo. Penelo, sorry. I can't even speak. Penelo, I didn't know I could pick classes for... I can't even say names right now. I'm so embarrassed.
That's okay. And that's why you're here.
I only picked it for Vaughn. And also, I know it's called Zodiac Age, but I didn't realize the Zodiacs when I was going through that little circle.
Legit, the symbols are on them, girl. Like, what?
But, you know, point is, I Googled because I picked Red Battle Mage. And I Googled what sign it was because I was like, fuck, at least I need to know what sign it is because I had no idea. And I find out from Brandon it's Cancer, so I didn't even have to Google. Clearly I wasted my time. But yeah, so I picked Red Battle Mage because it had like a little bit of everything. Okay. So I was like, okay, you know, like that. I may not know games, but at least I could do something of everything.
Was that helpful for you?
I mean, I don't have anything for it. So
okay.
Like I think I have you pick up the license for it, right? Yeah, and then that's it. Like I don't think I bought like the shops that I went to. They were like, you need to have licenses for this, and I'm like, I don't have that.
Anything.
So I was like, well, this was useless. But clearly,
Yes.
clearly, they all need to be knights. So I'm gonna go.
There you go.
If I learned anything from today, it is that all of them need to be knights because clearly Annie's got it down packed, and
It is
I need to get my
clearly
shit together.
Yeah, just get some knights on your team. That's all you
That's
need.
all you need. That's all you
You don't even need healers, like she said. All you need is to have everybody high level. No one will ever get hurt. Boom, done.
There you go.
Just get some good clothes on them, get a nice shield in their left hand, and tell them that they need more health, and then you're good.
That's all you
You're
need.
good. Clearly.
So now that that's decided, how difficult or easy is this license board process for you guys? Especially for those of you who played FF10, because I know that a lot of y'all did not like the no leveling process of FF10, where you had to pick the stuff on the board. Is this easier? Is this better? How comfortable, and for those of you who are just playing, how comfortable are you with the license board? Is it a good mechanic? How do you feel about it?
Look, you don't need to call me out like that.
Oh no.
No, it is so much easier than 10, because one of the
Okay.
things that I was so frustrated with is that I would spend points and go in the wrong direction in 10 and be so fucking frustrated with myself, because it's like, well, now I'm fucked, because it's like I felt like there's nothing I can do now. Okay, cool.
Yeah.
That was a waste of the level. And I feel like with this, it's a lot easier to see. I kind of wish I wish that you didn't have to like purchase the license, like the ability, and then have to go and like purchase an actual physical thing in order to use it. That seems a little bit like weird to me. Just like I was saying with the Libra ability. I feel like if you purchase the license for it, you should have it, since it's like you're learning it. It's almost kind of like the game's like, hey, so you study in order to do this thing, like you're a wizard, you're studying to do it, but then you also have to go and get the instruction manual from this dude down the street. Like,
Yeah.
it feels a little bit weird to me. I can totally get staffs and like everything like that, but just like the abilities themselves, I'm like, okay.
What do you mean, Marissa? Look, okay, think of it this way, right? First of all, I do agree with you, though. It seems like so extra. But when I think of it, I'm like, okay, it's like, let's say you are a magic caster, right? And you have learned the fireball spell. You can't just go using fireball. You need a license to do it, right? But then you have to like buy the
from this corrupt government, Jerome.
That's why they're taking all your money. That's literally it's literally a ploy for the Arcadian Empire to take all your money.
Okay, that's true. That's fine. But yeah, I guess it's kind of like I keep looking at it like I should just know this now. And that's like I was sending like I think you and David like messages at like probably some crazy ass like 2 a.m. in the morning because I can't fucking sleep, being like, why the fuck can't I use Libra? Why don't I know anything about these people? Like because it's like I know I bought this, but I did not realize I had to go to like a physical store. I thought I just like learned it within me. But I will say that the like the checkerboard kind of system that they have set up, it's so much easier to understand. I feel like it's so much easier to see what direction you're going in, what you're getting, and just even like knowing what are the next things that are going to start to unlock. And I like kind of like in the background how quickly you start to get these points, these like board points, because I just thought that it was every time you level up. And then I was always like pleasantly surprised because I would go in and be like, oh crap, I want to get the next set of accessories. And I'd go in and be like, oh shit, I have 60 points to spend. This is cool. So you
get them from like every fight.
Yeah.
Like, at least 1 point.
Yeah, that's been really cool. I like how quickly you accumulate them, because I really thought it was like you get a set amount at each level up. So I was like, oh God, it's going to take me forever to fill up this board. But then by the time that, we were like kind of prepping for this, you're going to go into the palace, which I was dreading because I was like, this stupid ass boy thinks that he's going to take on all these guards. I hate this boy. And then, open it up and be like, oh, actually, not doing too shabby. So yeah, I feel like the system is a lot easier for me to understand once I got that you have to like buy a license in the board, but then also go to a shop too.
Yeah.
Once that got sorted out, I felt like I hit the ground running.
All right, that's I'm happy to hear that. I'm happy to hear that it's more understandable, and also you can always reset anything that you've already done, which is a huge boon. So we have about 8 minutes left in this. So I do want to just forward really quickly and ask everyone's opinions just based on everything you played. Just anything you want to tell me about either the story, the gameplay, the mechanics, anything at all, anything that stood out to you, whether you're looking forward to continuing to play the game, how you feel about it in general. Just let me know your overall thoughts in the next 8 minutes. I'll start with Steph.
All right, Knights for the win. I loved the maps. The maps made everything so easy. I feel like I know where I'm going, and I like it better than Final Fantasy X. That's it.
Awesome. Yeah, that map that you can have on screen all the time is a lifesaver.
Yes.
Annie, you want to go next?
I'm glad that somebody's also on the night train.
Yes.
There's no brakes on the night train, unfortunately. Once you're there, they're nice.
That's it.
They tell you that you can change, but you won't need to, so it's fine.
Facts.
I agree. I trust.
Everything's a little bit daunting, like the gambits, the boards, the licenses, it's a lot all at once.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's a recurring thing with like JRPGs, and that's why it was a little hard for me to get into it originally. Is there's a lot of like UI stuff that's going on, and it covers a lot, so it's actually like really well done. It's just hard to get into because it is hard to digest at first.
Yeah, completely. I completely can agree with that. Yeah. I think gambits are a lot in the beginning. I think licenses and boards everything's a lot. I completely agree. But I'm liking it. So how are you liking the game so far, by the way?
It's all right. I'm gonna fight more dinosaurs and tell you how I feel.
Okay, I love that answer. What about you, Steph?
I already went.
I mean, how are you liking the game so far?
Oh, I like it. I like it more than Final Fantasy X for sure. I think that the way that like enemies are introduced are much better because you can avoid them if you wanted to, but if you wanted to grind, you can. But yeah, I mean, I like it. I like it so far.
Cool. Brandon?
I'm enjoying the game so far as well. Again, it's a nice balance between turn-based and action RPG for me. I like the system of how like you could take your time to plan your moves and whatnot. The gambits was a little overwhelming at first, but once I figured it out, it became a great time saver for most battles. I didn't play much of the original, so I can't say how slow the original game was, but having that speed up option was also really good for grinding and just like getting around Rabanastre when I needed to get from one side of the town to the other.
Oh my god, yes.
It was really good. Story's intriguing so far. I'm liking most of the characters that I'm seeing on screen, so I'm looking forward to seeing what they do, where their stories go. Yeah, I'm very intrigued. It's very promising. I'm looking forward to what happens next.
Yeah, that speed up ability, that 2 times and 4 times the speed is, oh my gosh, because everything is so vast and so huge, that it is so helpful. Marissa?
I'm pretty excited to see where these new characters take us. Liking it a lot more than Final Fantasy X so far. And then the speed up button made grinding so much more bearable. I think it's the thing I like the least in JRPGs. So being able to do that made it a lot more enjoyable. It's still a lot of information to digest, but I feel like I'm doing pretty good so far, and I'm very invested in the new group of characters that we've just met.
And Job, to wrap up, how do you feel replaying this game, or rather playing the Zodiac Age version after all these years?
I am actually not too invested into it yet, but it's because I don't like it just felt like the tutorial checkpoint, like kind of like to get used to things. But I feel like I didn't get to explore too much of like license board and stuff. But like I'm invested in the sense of like, yes, Fran, Belthier, awesome.
Yeah.
Van is whack. You already know.
Oh my God.
But yeah, not too much, not too heavy of an opinion just yet.
Okay, sounds good. Sounds good. I think the coolest thing for me, I don't know if you guys experienced this, was I went out into the desert, came back, saved, went back out, and it was like a freaking desert storm. And I was like, oh shit, that is so cool. Like weather effects are pretty dope. There are lots of little things, world building, weather effects, music. There are lots of things that I love, and we'll probably get into them when we don't have a long introductory episode.
Cool NPC dude who kept casting protect on me when I would go into the desert.
Yes,
I was my best friend.
Yes, he was.
You had to save him, right? Because I think we saved him in he was fighting somebody. No, is that the guy you're talking about?
I didn't see anything happen.
I didn't
to
save
him.
anyone.
He just kept casting protect on me, and I was like, "Thanks, bro."
Oh, there was someone that I saved, and they started casting protect.
That's so nice of you.
I feel like it's the same dude.
I mean,
sure.
maybe you had to protect him and we didn't. I don't know, but he was out there casting cure on me, and I was like, bro, we fam, you the best. So yeah, that was our first episode of Final Fantasy XII. Thank you guys for listening. I know it was a long one, but it's our introductory episode. We got to see how everybody feels about everything. The next one hopefully will be a lot more streamlined, and I won't have to keep you guys for so long. But thank you all for giving Final Fantasy XII a chance. I can't wait to see what's next. I can't wait to see how the story develops. Thank you, Brandon, Annie, Steph, Job, and Marissa. It's been a wonderful conversation. Good luck for the next checkpoint. I have absolutely no idea what's going to happen because I too am in the dark. Only Job knows what's next for as far as what he remembers. So it'll be hopefully a great time. I can't wait to talk to you guys again. And for everyone listening, thank you for listening. Make sure you give us a lovely review, rate this wonderful podcast so more people can discover our JRPG club, which, as I mentioned before, is the most popular of our podcast episodes. So thank you guys for being a part of that. And with that, good night, everybody. Bye.
Good night.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.